Welcome, viewers and listeners, to the Health Revolution, the program that shows you how to have a life of vibrant well-being. In a world full of noisy health trends, we bring you clarity. In a sea of fads, we reveal the science-backed strategies that truly work. We explore physical strength, emotional resilience, and mental mastery. These are the keys to an enriched life. Join us for inspiring interviews with champions who conquered life's health challenges, fueling your journey. Are you ready to unlock your potential? To live with vitality and purpose? Then join the Health Revolution. I'm your host, Adriana Morrison, health and fitness expert, speaker, and a mom who understands. Let's embark on this transformative quest. Together, we're about to change the game, starting now.
The information provided in this show is intended for educational and entertainment purposes only. Viewers should use their own discretion and consult with a healthcare professional for personalized guidance and recommendations. Welcome, everybody, to the Health Revolution. We're excited that you joined us today. I'm your host, Adriana Morrison, and no matter which way you're tuning into us, please do not forget to hit the subscribe button. We want to make sure that we stay connected to you. Also, at the bottom of your screen, you have a little tab for show notes. Keep that in mind because there's going to be some reference information for you for your takeaways. And so as we're getting into it, listen, part of our overall well-being is not only the physical piece, but yes, in fact, the emotional resilience and the mental mastery. And today we're going to really dive into the keys to happiness. What does happiness means? And if you're someone who just feels like it's just out of your reach and it's not in your grasp, let's talk about some of the ways that it becomes possible and reachable for you. And you have your takeaways so that you are embracing happiness in all aspects of your life. So my guest today is she is expert in talking about this. I can't wait for you to meet her, but first, watch this. All right, so sometimes we have technical difficulties. Let me tell you who she is. She is the happiness quarterback. She's also an author and a speaker and someone who has empowered so many people to transform their lives, to utilize the essence of authenticity to turn things around so that this way we embody the true essence of what it means to step into our new level of strength. Happiness is not something that is impossible, but it is definitely something we can get our hands on at any point in time in our lives. She brings the receipts. She is an author of, and we've got a book that she is going to be talking about that is launching in February. And so without further ado, let me bring up Treena Chabot. She is the happiness quarterback, author, and speaker. Treena, how are you?
I'm great. Thank you for having me, Adriana.
I'm excited to be here. Listen, we're rolling with things, and that's how you have to be. So talk a little bit about happiness and why it's such a loaded topic for so many of us. It's something that, that we all say that we want to be happy in life. We're supposed to be happy in life. But where is it that we get stuck along the way? What have you noticed as you've studied intensely in this topic? Why do we get stuck along the way?
Well, I think you're right that the big goal for all of us is to be happy in life. I just want to be happy, people say. And what we think is going to make us happy, which is those outer things, and I call it playing the outer game, career, kids, house, spouse, those kinds of things, they do make us happy. And we learn how to be a good wife or husband or a good employee, maybe a good parent. And the happiness lasts only for a little while, and then it wears off. And that leaves us very confused about what's going on because we did everything we thought we were supposed to do to make ourselves happy, and we're not. And so when people get to that stage in life, which I definitely did, it's a feeling of emptiness, unfulfillment, overwhelm from doing all the things you think you're supposed to do. And often we have gone through life wanting to succeed. So we want people to like us. We get our value from other people saying, wow, you're doing such a great job. Look at you. You've got the best marriage. You're doing it all. And we just don't know what to do because that didn't work for us. And we pushed all those negative emotions away to be that people pleaser, to put that smile on our face. And now those emotions have piled up inside of us and we're depressed. That's such a confusing time in our lives because we should be happy. Everyone's telling us, like, look at you. You should be so happy. You have everything. I have nothing. You have everything. You should be happy. And you're not, and you don't know what's going on. So that level of stuckness affects a lot of us. And we need to find a way out. And the way out is personal growth.
Yes. And you bring up a really good point. And I'm wondering, where have you noticed, where were the turning points along the way in society? Because we know how society is evolving so quicker than we can blink our eyes. And so where did this pressure to be happy come from? Where along the ways did it impact us as times were changing?
So I don't know about other people, but for me, I pay attention. I like getting credit for doing the right thing. So, when you're in school and you have the right answer and the teacher's like, good job, Treena, that feels good, right? That's that little shot of dopamine that you get and you feel happy because of that. So you look for other times in your life to be right. So personally, I looked at what was going on around me. And when people weren't happy, I looked at what was going on in their life that was making them unhappy and said, I'm going to do it differently. I'm going to show people how to be happy. I'm going to show them how to be successful because success equals happiness, right? So I went to school to be a teacher, had children, got the big house, all the things just to show people how to do it. And wow, was I shocked when that didn't make me happy. So I think we think success is going to make us happy, and it does for a little bit, but then it wears off. But it's messages like looking at people, listening to what's going on in the media, comparing ourselves to others. We really get disconnected from ourselves, and we have this outer lens, and we're playing this outer game that's not working for us.
When I think about where this could come from, part of where I'm speculating is, so we have to go way back a few decades. And so then we're talking, the origins of social media, television. So then say post-World War II, and then the image that was shown to say our grandparents of, Leave It to Beaver. And, this is I don't even know, is it Meet the Waltons or something? Oh, I don't know. But in any case, but some of the shows in which everything is so, pristine and picture perfect. And so I'm thinking that then at some point along the line, do you think we were conditioned that this is success? If we could show everybody, look, this is us, that means that we've made it and it's going to be good and we're going to have a great life. Would you agree with that?
Of course. Of course I would agree with that. But then studies show that people who win the lottery and they have all this money and they can have whatever they want, eventually they become unhappy anyways. So we know that that's not the right thing to do. The other thing is our society has shifted. So it used to be a society where, you get that good job, have the family, have all the things, and that's the big goal. And I think now it's not about competition. It's not about being the best one, the CEO or the owner of all these things. It's about being the person you came to Earth to be. And so some people try to compete for these positions, whatever it is, maybe best singer, those kinds of things. And it's not a level playing field. Some people will never achieve these things. Some people cannot compete because other people don't allow them to. But they have to know that that's not the key to happiness anyway. The key to happiness is inside of you.
Very true. And I agree. What was your first definition of happiness in early adulthood? So we've been conditioned the hey, good job and all of that through school, and then we're entering, say, like you're 18 and then you're moving forward. What was your first definition of happiness in early adulthood?
I would say it was very goal oriented. So getting married at age 20, like, wow, look at me. I checked off that box. And then finishing school with a degree at age 21, checked off that box as well. Had 2 children by the time I was 25, checked off that box. And that was success equaling happiness.
Were you stressed during that time?
I well, definitely when I had all the things going on at once, I was stressed. As I was achieving goals, I felt very good about myself because I felt I was on the right track doing all the things, right? All those happy hormones are firing. But definitely when you've got all those things to do, so, women or men, whoever is managing the kids, managing the household, going to work every day, maybe caring for other relatives, caring for your yard, whatever it is, yeah, that's overwhelm. And then not only that, you think you need to sign up for a master's degree because you want to get a promotion at work and get a raise. And you're doing more than all the things. It's incredibly overwhelming.
So how did you keep in thinking back to those times? How did you keep your definition in happiness in check? Like, how did you do self inventory back then, being a younger adult versus today? What was that like for you back then?
It was non-existent.
Okay.
I didn't know that I was on a path to unhappiness.
Mhm.
And, I want people to be checking in with their happiness because I wasn't. I felt happy because I was checking off the next box and the next and the next and the next and the next. But then that took me in a downward spiral. It's crazy. Like, you don't even think that that's what's going to happen. But
So when you started to go that route, when things started to change and maybe even become stressful, how did you challenge your own beliefs of what you needed to do as a young professional, as a mom, as a wife at that time? How did you challenge the beliefs that you had that were not serving you at that time?
So initially I didn't. And in my book, and we'll talk about that later, I tell a story about having a new job and the kids are little and everything's going well, but I'm unhappy with my spouse. And I didn't do anything about it. I told my mom. At that time, she told me she was getting divorced from my dad. And she says, like, I think if you don't like it, you should just get out. And that terrified me. I wasn't going to leave my marriage. I wasn't going to have a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old with 2 homes. I wasn't going to be a single mom. That wasn't part of the plan. I wasn't going to do that. So instead, I was going to show everyone how to do it right. So that was age 27. I spent 10 years proving myself and proving that I knew how to be happy. And then finally, at age 37, I didn't check in with anything. I had a breakdown, basically.
And when you did, this obviously, when we have breakdowns in life, or for anyone who's ever had a breakdown, it's almost like either a period of shutting down or you feel like you're about to crack. So what helped you turn things around? What were some elements in your life, in your environment, that you had to embrace to then change the trajectory of what was happening?
Right. So I was at that moment where I wanted to end my life. And I started thinking about the people I would leave behind if I did that. And my attention turned to my 2 children. And I said to myself, they'll be okay eventually. And then, like a slap in the face, it's like, no, they won't be okay. How could they ever be okay? So I was stuck at that point. I knew I wasn't going to leave this world but yet I didn't know what else to do. I didn't think I had a choice. And so the next day at work, the tears are spilling over while I'm on break in the office. And my coworker comes over and he says, "What's wrong?" And I said, "Well, like, I think I need a divorce. I'm so unhappy, but I can't do that to everyone." And I said, I don't think I have a choice. And he says, "Treena, you always have a choice." And that's exactly what I needed to hear. So I didn't know how I was going to get out of it. But number one, I knew I had a choice. Now, the problem, I think, was that, and not necessarily a problem, but I thought I had one choice, divorce or no divorce, and that was going to solve my problems. And I didn't take the time to talk to other people. I had to be the strong one. I wasn't going to tell anyone I was suffering. And I probably could have at that time just explored some other options. And maybe someone would have told me, "You're stuck because you need personal growth." But I didn't give anyone the opportunity. I didn't go to therapy. I didn't tell friends. I didn't read books about it. I just said, okay, well, I guess I'm getting a divorce and that's going to fix everything, because that seems to be the thing causing me the most hardship in my life.
So, the one thing that strikes me is that there was an element of, I got to figure this out as I'm hearing you tell the story. And, I think at times when we feel like we have to figure it out, it goes back to not knowing how to communicate at that point in time, or maybe feeling like it would be bad if we did, or that we would have consequences we don't want to experience. Was it hard, like looking back, did you ever have moments where where that was encouraged growing up, maybe into adulthood, maybe, not necessarily just childhood, but as you're learning who you're becoming, did you have elements of encouragement, or did you feel like that just was not part of the picture?
Well, I mean, your parents love you, but I really felt I was like trying to figure it out for myself.
Okay.
So just kind of watching, being an observer. There was religion involved. That wasn't good for me. It didn't help me establish a relationship with a higher power. It was just more about don't sin.
Okay. And I
Yeah.
think, and this is, and I appreciate you sharing that, because I think at times there's almost these pockets of topics that we feel the subconscious pressure either to go along or to not, because of the image. So then it goes back to the image of what the definition of the success is. And so I think that as we're exposed, and I think of me growing up, so I think that it's just the exposure to it just has to be this way. I think that we're learning in hindsight and reflection that that it's not serving us to not delve into it and get to the heart of the matter, because then it can fester. Do you feel like that was part of your personal journey, that it was just kind of brewing, and at some point it's kind of like sweeping an ocean with a broom? It's going to come and it's going
Yeah.
to be.
Well, just look at that situation when I was 27 and I said, like, I'm not happy, but I'm just going to suck it up because this is the life I chose. I have to live it. If you're feeling you're not happy, you need to dive into that and see what's going on, see how you've been running your life and what part of it isn't working. What are your feelings about your circumstances? And which of those do you need to act on? Your feelings are good information for you. So anytime you're feeling like, this isn't what I thought it was going to be, absolutely. Time to pull out the journal, time to talk to a trusted other, whatever it is for you, but that needs to be explored.
So that was a turning point in your 30s when everything came to a head, and then it was more of an urgent, like in our face. We could no longer hide it anymore. We couldn't no longer push it to the side. You felt like that definitely was that turning point.
Well, interestingly enough, I didn't pick it up as a turning point.
Okay.
So I went through a divorce, and it was the hardest thing I've ever had to do. And there was so much guilt surrounding that. And then, I was really happy. I had my power back. I was free, all those things that I thought I was missing. And then I got into another relationship. And of course, I'm in the honeymoon phase and everything's going swimmingly. And then after a little while, I start sitting back and saying, oh my goodness, he's embarrassing me. Oh, why would he say that? What is he doing now? And I could feel those unhappy feelings coming back and going down the rabbit hole. And I'm just like I was disappointed. I thought I had fixed my life, right? Take out husband A, put in husband B. And everything was supposed to be good.
I want to continue. I want to hold that thought. We're going to take a commercial break. We're going to be right back after this. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back after this.
Welcome to E360 TV, the live streaming and on-demand destination for influential voices and enlightened audiences. We offer trending, grassroots, and purpose-driven content across a diverse range of interests. E360 TV is more than just watching programs. We offer the ability to interact with live shows connecting audiences to real, authentic influencers and storytellers while streaming to millions of devices. Real experiences. Raw conversations. One destination for it all. E360 TV.
As we age, our body's relationship with water changes. Here's why staying hydrated is vital for our health and well-being. Now, first, water helps maintain our body's balance of fluid. So this is crucial for digestion, absorption, circulation, and even temperature regulation. Hydration also adds to proper digestion and can prevent constipation, a common concern in later years. So just like plants need water to thrive, our skin, the largest organ, requires hydration to maintain the elasticity and moisture, reducing the signs of aging. Staying hydrated improves physical performance and energy levels, making daily activities and exercise easier and more enjoyable. Good hydration even impacts your sleep, quality, and cognitive function, keeping your mind sharp. So if you're not sure how much water to drink, here's what I do. A rule of thumb that I like to follow is this. So whatever the number on the weight scale is in pounds, when you step on it, divide that number in half, and that number in ounces is the bare minimum to aim for on a daily basis. And this is your Fit Bite for today.
Welcome back to the Health Revolution. Welcome back to the show. My guest today is Treena Chabot. She is the happiness quarterback. She's also an author and speaker, and she inspires, encourages, teaches others how to make the necessary changes in their lives so that they can achieve true happiness moving forward. Treena, before the a point in time in which you had discovered that as your marriage was ending, and then you entered a new relationship, that suddenly it wasn't necessarily true happiness. So then from that point on, what inspired you, or what provoked that change to where you said, hey, hold the phone, let's reassess here, let's handle this?
Right. So things all of a sudden weren't going well in my mind anyway with the second relationship. And I said, like, are all men the same? What is going on here? And then I started thinking, well, no, they're different in these different ways, and I feel different. Well, if all men aren't the same, then, oh, it's me. I'm the common denominator. And it seems so obvious, but it wasn't to me until that point. So I knew that it was something I had to change. And really, I've always known you cannot change another person anyway. But what did it mean to change myself? I had no idea what I had to do to feel better. I just knew that I wanted that relationship. I didn't want to have it end up in another breakup at the end, because that's just horrible to have to go through. So the first thing I did was start developing self-awareness. I had to see what was going on that led me to have thoughts or emotions that were unhealthy or unhappy.
And I love how you're embracing that, because I'll tell you, I know that before going live today, we talked, or for those watching the replay, I know you and I talked and you shared a little bit of your backstory. What I also share in common with you is I've gone through a divorce. My first marriage ended in divorce, and it wasn't until I addressed certain things within me, which was not fun to do. Nobody likes to admit, oh, hey, look what I bring to the table. This is where I'm messing up a little bit. But what it taught me is that, that connection, don't put your head in the sand, don't disconnect, pay attention. And then from there, we can start to evoke change. So the elements, so I want to get into your book, of course. And then what allowed you to really gain traction in achieving true happiness to where this is now your line of work?
So from the self-awareness, I just started listening to people, looking for opportunities to learn about myself. I started reading self-help books. I used to read Stephen King kinds of things. That was great. Of course, all the textbooks I had to read for work. But this was a time in my life where I really dove into self-help, which is why I'm passionate about self-help. It's helped me so much. There's so many different books. And even if you just get one or two things out of that, it's amazing. The other thing was I went for some energy work, something I thought was woo-woo, would have never considered. But it happened to be a new friend, who said, hey, just get on the table. Let's see what happens. So I was open to that. I stopped being closed and thinking I knew all the answers, to just saying, hey, show me what I don't know, because I need some help here.
Wow. And so you're growing, you're cultivating your new path, and you're really hyper-focused on improving all things, that putting your best foot forward. When was the change for you that you decided, okay, I'm going to take this to a whole new level. I'm going to help other people. This is clearly the path that I'm meant to be on. What was that first breakthrough as a professional that you had, and maybe input that you had from those listening to you?
Okay, very interesting. So the divorce was 14 years ago. And through the self-help, I got on a journey of life purpose. So, it's like you're suffering in life. There has to be some sort of meaning to this. If you don't see that there's a meaning, then it's too painful. So if you say, well, my life has a higher meaning, that helps you to work through those hard points. So I really wanted to know, what is my purpose? What is the meaning of life? And so through reading about those types of topics, I came to the definition of the meaning of life as learning and growing as a person, and then using your strengths to serve others. And then with life purpose, I came across something that said, whatever you're doing right now is already part of your life purpose. Everything that has happened to you, the direction you're on, is all about your life purpose. And so it's something you're already doing. So I looked at, okay, well, I'm teaching people how to be a good supervisor. I guess that's my life purpose. So I started a company to train supervisors. So I wanted to get out of my teaching job, so I had freedom to travel around and not have to be in the classroom all the times I'm supposed to be there. And I started doing that work. After a couple of years of doing that, I'm sitting there thinking, well, this isn't doing it for me. Like, I don't even want to get on the call with the supervisor and have a coaching session. So what's wrong with me? Like, how come I can't figure this out? So then I tried something else. I was using a plant supplement. So I'm like, I'm going to be a healthy aging expert. So I set off on this journey to do that. And part of that was the physical health. So I said, okay, I'm going to start exercising again. And I'm going to go live on Facebook and show everyone how to exercise. So there I am on my treadmill. Then I move over to my body lift machine and I'm doing leg lifts and I hurt my knee. So I went through an injury and I'm just like, oh, how can I be a healthy aging person when I can't even be healthy myself? So it was a real identity crisis, honestly. So, part of being lost in your life is like, you don't know what your identity is. You tried to be this thing that's going to be successful and it didn't work. And so now who am I? Then I talked to a coach and the coach said, what has been the biggest transformation for you in your life? And I said, well, it's definitely how I was so unhappy. And then I turned inward and worked on myself. And now I can create my own happiness regardless of what's going on around me. And as soon as I said that to her, the bells went off. It's like, that's what I'm supposed to be doing. So I had my own life experience surrounding that, but that didn't seem like enough because I had gone to school for 6 years to get 2 different degrees. And I wrote the tests and I knew all those things. But for happiness, I didn't know all the things. So maybe imposter syndrome, but maybe just more. I needed to prepare. So I spent about a year reading happiness books, delving into it more. And then I had to figure out how to bring that to the world. Would I be a group coach? Would I be a one-on-one coach? Well, group coaching is good because I'm a teacher. I can do that. One-on-one coaching, I can do a little bit of that, but I don't want to have a whole bunch of appointments on my calendar. Finally, I just said, I like writing books and I'm going to write a book. I looked at a workshop I had and I said, that would make a great book. And all of a sudden, 10 months later, I have a book and I'm so excited to share it.
So now so let's go ahead and let's talk about your book that is going to be released for purchase. That's going to be on sale in February. So, and if you're catching the replay, obviously this is before the release date, but talk a little bit about how this came to fruition and what are some elements about this book that would be important to know?
So the book is a bit of a memoir, so it's going to share some of the stories more in depth of what I've been talking about today. And what I did, actually, it was through a connection company that I'm part of, and we do masterminds and things that I found out about another woman who had a formula for something else. And she wrote a book that had her formula in it. And I said, I can have a formula too. And that's a great idea to convey information. So excuse me. So it's got a formula, and it's basically, when I look back at what I've learned in the last 14 years, I can piece it into this formula. But the formula is just a structure for people because there's all kinds of science now on happiness. And I share a little bit about that in the book as well. And all the scientists have their own theories about, this leads to happiness. Gratitude leads to happiness, for example. But scientists also agree that happiness is a very individual thing. You need to find what is going to make you happy. So it's like, here's all the options of things that will make you happy, but what works for you? And I feel like you can take those things and plunk them in to the formula, and that helps you look at the things to focus on in your life so that you can create true happiness from inside of you. And you can create lasting happiness, the kind that isn't going to go away after the honeymoon phase wears off.
So one thing I do like what you had mentioned before as you were talking about the steps that led to this book is that number one, you were pretty resilient in not settling. And I think oftentimes, there's moments where we're used to seeing when people settle, when we've settled, if we can look hard, in retro, in reflection of the times where we just made do. But one thing that's really resonating with me is that even though you had yet to be at this stage before the fruition of the book, that you didn't give up trying to figure this out, that you were putting elements into play so that this was lining you up to then now that it's this book that's coming out and we have so many takeaways from it.
Well, it is resilience, and it is, I guess, the stick-to-itness with, I think the whole part is I know that my soul is here for a reason, and I don't have to do this. I could go get a job somewhere and do something else, but I feel pushed or pulled in this direction. I'm supposed to be helping people. And so I have to figure it out, because if I don't, what am I going to do when I'm 75 years old? And I say, what did you do in your life? You had all this opportunity to make a difference, and you chose to take the easy way out. That's not the conversation I want to be having with myself in 24 years. So I do want to figure it out. And I also want to find something that's in alignment for me, because I don't want to be doing work that I dread doing. I want to get up and be excited about what I'm doing. I want to do something I'm passionate about. Who doesn't?
Very true. The other thing too that our viewers, just to remind our viewers, is that you're also a speaker. And so what has been some of the feedback you've gotten from audiences who you've spoken in front of, where you've had conversations, sidebar conversations afterwards? What are some things that you're getting and that you're hearing from people, from women, from specific professions? What's come up for you?
I'm going to give you a positive and a negative answer for
Go
this.
for it. Let's go. Okay.
So for one particular talk, we did a survey, and one of the comments was, I didn't want to hear about her divorce. Why is that part of the conversation? And to that, it's you're missing the whole point. This person who doesn't want to hear about this. When I talk about my life, I don't really care if you care about me or not. I'm being vulnerable. I'm sharing about myself so that it can help you think about your life and to be vulnerable with others maybe and get the help that you need. So, if you don't like my divorce, that's fine. But let's look at your life and what it's telling you about the work you need to do. So that's kind of the negative, and I can't worry about what people think that way. But on the other side, I've been a guest in other people's membership groups. And the most popular one is when we talk about emotions. And kind of the ongoing comment there is that people don't realize how triggered they are during the day, and that it's probably ruining their relationships. And then all of a sudden, the comments that other people have been making to them about why are you so sensitive? What's your problem? Starts to make sense, because now they can start to see that they are reactive and that there's some kind of emotional trigger. There's something going on inside of them that needs some attention.
You bring up a great point. And I think to the point of the divorce, I don't think nobody likes divorce. I didn't like divorce when I went through it either, but I think it's very revealing when someone doesn't want to hear it, because there are moments in life where people don't want to hear something that reflects back onto something that maybe they're struggling with, or maybe they're being reminded of something that they've yet to conquer. So that's one way to spin things around. But I think you're absolutely right about being vulnerable. When we're vulnerable and we're transparent, that opens up so many new conversations that do need to be had.
Yeah. And then going back to that comment from that person, I think that's part of dealing with this thing, The brain has a negativity response. It's a negativity bias. It's looking for things that might harm us. So if someone's hearing something that is contrary to what they believe, they're going to say, no, that's wrong and this is right. Because if they're wrong, now their brain's comfort level is upset. So maybe that person was like I was years ago and said, I'm going to show people how to be married and I'm going to, do everything right. And she shouldn't get divorced. She doesn't know how to do it. I know how to do it. I don't know what's going on. But, the brain is going to protect us, and it can play out in a lot of different ways, even like the fight or flight response.
Yeah, absolutely.
We have to see that automatic response and stop it doing those things and just bring consciousness to those situations so we can figure out what our next action is.
Very, very valid point. We're going to take a commercial break. Don't go anywhere. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back after this. Thank you so much for watching The Health Revolution. Our show is growing, and it's all thanks to viewers like you. No matter how you found us, please hit the subscribe button so we can stay connected and continue to deliver amazing content to you.
Life is so fragile, and we're constantly reminded just how fragile life can be, especially when we or a loved one is told we have cancer. Cancer survivor myself, I can tell you, we still feel very alone in this journey.
There's a study that's been showing that patients who are socially isolated have a worse prognosis, have a worse outcome than patients who are socially interconnected.
Buddies for Life is a non-profit cancer support group for those whose life has been impacted by cancer. Humor, hope, heart, and hugs.
Humor, hope, heart, hugs, and a whole lot of love.
Share this with your friends and family and support this community in every way you can. No one should face cancer alone.
I am a chemo buddy for life.
We are a buddies network.
No one does cancer alone.
Be a buddy.
And we are all here for you as a community of love.
We are chemo buddies for life.
And if you've heard 3 words, you have cancer, for yourself or someone else, you belong with us at Chemo Buddies for Life.
Healing through connections.
And now we want to give special thanks to Biomed Mobile IV for sponsoring the Health Revolution. Biomed Mobile IV is Colorado's top mobile IV therapy service, servicing throughout the state of Colorado. They offer an array of vitamins and above and beyond safety preparation. Biomed Mobile IV, your dedication to health and wellness is exactly what our show is all about. And we thank you for your support. Welcome back to the Health Revolution. Welcome back. I'm your host, Adriana Morrison. My guest today, Treena Chabot. She is the happiness quarterback. She's an author and speaker. She's got a book that will be released in February called Happy Starting Today. And before the break, we were talking about some of the takeaways that she noticed, that the feedback she was getting from those who were sharing with her just what it was like to hear her message. And Treena, one thing I was curious about, what are some daily habits that we could do that can help us change the mindset? So the cup is half full, it's not half empty. What do we need to start doing today that many of us maybe aren't doing?
So I think it's not that we have to change what we're doing, but maybe how we're doing things. And if you think about happiness, you might get some advice about just being positive. Just be grateful, just be positive. But that's not enough. It's important to be able to create happy feelings, and gratitude and positivity will do that. But we also need to be managing those negative feelings. So I think in the long run, what you want to do is have more positive things than negative things, and then you will be happy. So to me, happiness is an umbrella term for all of the positive emotions that you can create. And you might be surprised about what some of those things are. Life purpose is one, or you feel like you have a purpose. Even creativity. So you know that there were studies done on getting into flow and that will increase your happiness. So it's important to learn about the different options that you do have and which ones interest you, because not all of them will.
So what's your favorite, I got to ask, what is your favorite daily habit that you like to implement that aligns with keeping the right mindset and where you want to be?
Okay, so this one is corny.
No, there's no such thing.
To me, it's really like it's self-love is such a huge part of happiness. If you're not happy with yourself, how are you going to be happy? And it can take a while for some of us to really know ourselves, because when we've gone off on this outward success journey, we get so disconnected from ourselves. So building that relationship with yourself is going to be crucial for happiness too. So throughout the day, I need to be checking in with myself. Am I doing what makes me happy? Am I doing things that are authentic to me? Do I have positive thoughts about myself? Do I have positive self-talk? Am I allowing people to take away my ability to choose? Those kinds of things.
So what would you tell the person watching this that maybe they're surrounded by an exorbitant amount of negativity, that maybe their inner circle is negative, or maybe the work environment is negative just everywhere around, and they're being proactive with changing how they view happiness in a way that supports growth? What would you tell them that would be a first call to action to redefine your space and protect your peace?
Well, I think one step at a time is important. And you're going to have one part of your life that probably needs priority attention. So the one that you're suffering in the most, maybe that's a great place to start. And just have self-awareness, see what's going on, see how you're showing up, how you're reacting to other people. And then, learning about things like boundaries or control. Do I have control in the situation? Do I have to just do what my boss tells me to do to keep this job? And I need this job. I don't have a choice. So I have to give my power away for this part of my life, but maybe I can have power or autonomy in other parts of my life. So I think really it's about education in self-care, in well-being, in happiness. And the more you can learn about it, the more you can see what's going on in these scenarios and have some ideas on how to change it. So I wouldn't go around making all kinds of changes at once, thinking they're going to make you happy, but learn about yourself, learn about what's available to you, and then just try some things and see how it works. It's a journey.
Yes, I agree. I definitely agree. Do you have a favorite tactic to have this conversation with your kids so that they are on a really cool footing to embrace this in a healthy way?
Okay, so that's an interesting question, because my children are 25 and 27, and it's too late. I screwed them up already.
Oh, no. We always have the conversation. So do you have a favorite way leading as a mom as they continue to forge their way in life? And
my kids are awesome. I didn't screw them up. But what I would have done differently would be to not take the suck it up kid approach, but to give some quality attention to children and encourage them to be themselves. I guess give them tools for self-worth, that they can be themselves and not be so worried about what other people are saying. Like if they're being criticized, give them some strength, and also really the emotional piece. When they go out in the world and they have unfortunate experiences, you've got to have the tools to talk to them about that. Otherwise, they're going to have emotional triggers put in them that will be there their whole life, probably. So we have to have some intentional interactions with our kids for sure.
I definitely agree with that. One thing I do want to add before we go to break, as a mom as well, one thing I've made every attempt to do to the best of my ability is just let them know when I mess up. So when I mess up and I see and I see that I have to have that conversation where if I'm maybe, I lose my temper, or I handle things and they witness that wasn't necessarily the best. I've made it a point to let them see how I handle it, and then I talk through it. And there's a level of vulnerability that's like, hey, this is a reminder your mother is far from perfect. But my hope is that they can see how I handle it, and that they could remember, and that if they're in that situation, that they could use those same tools to fix any hiccups that they might find themselves in. So I agree with you on that. Being vulnerable as moms, I think that there's strength in that. So for sure. We're going to take a quick break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back after this.
Greetings, I'm Angel Marie Monticelli, host of Energize You TV, every Thursday at 11 a.m. Pacific Time. Go to Fresh Takes right here on E360 and get Reikified and energized today.
Welcome back to the Health Revolution. Welcome back, everybody. My guest today, Treena Chabot. She is the happiness quarterback, speaker, and author. Her book that's going to be ready, available is in February, is Happy Starting Today. Treena, where can viewers find you? Because as you're continuing to have conversations and putting yourself out there and helping others attain happiness in the right way.
Well, the book is on Amazon. So we've got an ebook on pre-sale right now. But if you want to wait for the paperback, that will come out February 15th. Why February 15th? I believe that that's one of the saddest, loneliest days of the year. Lots of breakups happen. And happiness isn't just about, a marriage. It can be about not being happy in a job, not being happy about your children, your house, all those kinds of things. So I chose February 15th just to be there to help people on that day. That was the day that I ended my marriage, and my brother actually did on the exact same day, and we had no idea, which is crazy. So I know that it's a hard day for many. So that's the day. And then there's more information on treenachabot.com. We're doing the pre-launch, getting all excited. I'm going to put quotes from the book out there on social media. And then we're going to have a contest from February 15th to the end of February. If you buy the book and follow the instructions, then you could win a prize. So all that information is on my website.
Fantastic. Where else on social media are you can we find you?
Well, I tried TikTok, but I don't know, maybe again one day. But LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, I typically post the same thing on all of those. So I'm pretty easy to find. I'm the only Treena Chabot when you Google my name, Treena, right?
That's right. And let's see if we can bring up her. I'm going to see if we can bring up your book just one last time so that people can see. So Happy Starting Today. So the paperback version, it will be available on February 15th. Is that right?
That's
and
correct.
Then yes, so that way, audience and listeners, if you're seeing this, you definitely want to get your hands on this, especially if that your goal is to attain true happiness. And Treena, I really appreciate your time and energy today. Thank you so much for joining me.
Well, thank you so much. I want to thank you for your kindness and a level of professionalism and performance that is amazing, and your creativity too. It's just been wonderful working with you.
I appreciate that. Teamwork makes the dream work, of course. And for all our viewers, remember that you can find us. Our website is thehealthrevolutiontv.com. That's where you can find more information. You can subscribe to our newsletter. Let us know the type of the show topics that you would love to see. And of course, we will continue to bring incredible, relevant conversations that can allow us to lead an impactful and optimal life. And then, of course, if you would prefer a QR code, we're going to stick that in the corner. And so you can do a little quick snapshot of that. So that way it's as a crow flies method of connecting with us. And then, as always, don't forget, we are on E360 on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. And if you're catching the replay, you already know that every live broadcast is available in on-demand replay. And that's all the time that we have. Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. Until next time, take care, be healthy. See you soon.